Welcome to the AnyVerse podcast, a podcast where the members of the AnyVerse Minecraft series get together and talk about their week in their personal AnyVerse world.
Hi, this is DarkSolidX, also known as Solid.
This is Fizzbolts, also known as Fizzy.
Hi, I'm PB from PbPlaysMinecraft.
And I'm Torfi from Torfi74.
All right, and it has been another week in the AnyVerse universe, and what have you guys been up to?
Well, my week wasn't as exciting because my focus was on the challenge we had this month. So I dug out the whole lake and then went to go grab some sand and then ended up dying twice, two more times, which is horrible. And I still can't find my clones. I forgot to disperse them, so they're still running around somewhere in my roar. So still gotta look for them. But then I've just been focusing on the lake for now.
That is impressive that you've died 2 more times. I just, continuously flabbergasted by just the ways you've managed to die. But I'm sure one day one of us will also just catch up with you. So, this week, I also just went head first into the pond, into our goal for the month. And I did, in fact, finish that. I also did digging, but I didn't dig out a lake. Mine is under sort of like a mountain thing and like a very skinny mountain. So I dug out an area around that and down and made an artificial pool myself also. And I also had to, it was a lot of resource gathering is what happened this episode to make that happen. And also finally set up the beacon, in which after I dug out the area for the beacon, I no longer needed the beacon because I found enough diamonds to kind of like hold me over for a little bit, which I thought was hilarious as I recorded the episode. But that's what I did too. I just went head first into the pond stuff.
Well, this week I decided to finally go mining. I actually found like 21 diamond ore. I'm happy about that, which is funny because I also need to go to the Nether and find a fortress so I can get some Nether wart. So I ran all the way back to spawn and went to the fortress that was pretty close to the spawn portal. And as soon as I stepped into the thing, I found I think it was like 7 treasure chests. Crazy. I didn't think there was that many there, but I found 9 diamonds in those treasure chests. I didn't even need to go mining. Also, let's see what I continued work on my graveyard. But I think, I only have 2 deaths total. So I'm not like doing a lot of work on there. I just wanted to keep it going, kind of like an ongoing project. But as I was digging it out, I decided on like putting where I'm gonna put my mine shaft in, also where my storage is going to go for for all my items because I'm running out of storage in my house. So I just decided to go and I just wanted to throw everything in one location. I don't want to. I guess I probably shouldn't do that. Kind of spread them out, but I like the convenience of having everything combined. My week is, was pretty busy, but yeah, nothing too hectic. I did get a jump scare though when I was running around in that Nether fortress over by spawn. A wither skeleton jumped out of somewhere and just chased me down the hallway.
In my week, I thought I was going to work more on getting glass for that Taurus, but one of my fish had a protest about their dinky little pond, and they demanded a bigger pond because one of them decided to jump out of the water and die. So I spent the episode remaking the pond. I made it look a lot nicer. It has more decorations. It has a better bridge that goes over the pond and not in the water this time. And there's a fountain with a rock area and some trees that are going to become custom trees. But for now, they're just like those big jumbo trees. So I just need to go and get some lights to light it up, and it's going to look really neat. The bottom of the pond has my lightning bolt that I always put everywhere on every Minecraft server or world I play on. So hopefully these fish like that pond, and maybe I'll go get them some more fish friends in the future.
You said something about custom trees, and I forgot to mention that I made my very first custom trees ever in this episode, so I'm really happy how they turned out.
I also spent a lot of time. It's something I wanted to really do in the Anyverse is just try to do more custom customize the terrain around me a little bit more, terraforming and eroding here and there. And that was sort of what I did with this cliff. I really like this area where I did the pond because it's if you guys remember in the Birch Hills Forest, there is this like long, skinny mountain kind of that feels like it's half cut off. It almost looks like a chunk area around it, except the hill next to it is nicely molded. So when you go under it, it curves in a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'm gonna make like some sort of like little cave pond thing there. And as I started digging around it to dig the hole to make the pond, I ended up popping out on the other side of this mountain, closer to the other side of where my stuff is, which amazing shortcut, guys. I'm very happy about it. And B, it meant that I actually had to do something better, because originally I was just going to do like this small little dinky stem that like molded into the mountain itself. But because I ended up popping out the other side before I made the thing big enough, I was like, oh, well then. So it turned out that because I was literally just going to support it with like one or two shapely things that sort of look like stalactites, I think, are the ones that come down. Sort of like that, but it like didn't work out that way. So I had to make it look like a stem, almost like a very girthy big stem something that would hold up this like mountain peak almost. And I spent most of my time just sitting there and like adding blocks, taking blocks away, adding blocks to try and make this curve going down into it look sort of natural. And then I had to like shape the inside of the cavern, which now was a lot smaller. It's much to my dismay, because it made things a lot more difficult to sort of shape. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of happy with the direction it went. I wouldn't call it finished, mostly because it is mostly made out of stone and there's not many smooth stone, and I also added some diorite in there to give it a little bit more flavor. Just because my area is very like gray and white and with an off color splash. So that's sort of like how I built it. And why I went with diorite, which I'm sure some people are like, why diorite? Like the worst color? Hello, what are you doing? But yeah, that's sort of how I ended up working it out. And I'm kind of happy with it, but I can't really do much more right now before 1.14 comes out and we get all those new fun variants. But I did come up with like a cool, well, I'm sure I didn't come up with it, but I did use it where I put a 2 tall flower. I dug down one block and then I shoved a 2 tall flower so it looked only like it was a 1 tall, to make it look sort of like a flower bush instead of a very tall thing that covered up my view of my beautiful pond with my beautiful fish in there now.
Yeah, I believe I stumbled upon your area venturing, and then I thought to myself that would be nice to be part of the town, but then I realized that my villager breeder is too close to that, so it'll mess up the villager breeder. So I'm guessing I might not touch that area, but I've seen that area. It's very pretty.
I don't know why you guys are knocking on diorite. It's a lovely block. Well, at least in some texture packs. Sometimes it's not then. But, with the limited amount of blocks that we have, why not use it?
Well, I do like direct the way it looks, because it looks kind of like not kind of like cement, where like the walls where they have it and then they paint it white and it's like rough looking. It kind of remind me of that, so it doesn't look like bird poop to me.
Diorite does look better than granite, but nothing's going to be better than andesite. Is 114 the one where they're going to make the stairs and slabs with the andesite and diorite and clay and all that?
Yes, it is. And also walls, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's totally the one that's gonna add all the cool new blocks in it. I mean, I think andesite's such a boring block. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with the audience out there. I don't like andesite because it's a very boring block. I like the smooth version of it. Is that what it's called? I don't know. The nicer looking version of it, but the raw version, I don't know. I find it very boring. It feels a lot like cobblestone, but with just nicer texture, I guess.
I like andesite to mix in with like cobble walls and like stone walls because it does give it a great texture. But that being said, you can also use coral now, which gives you that gray and like darker shades of gray combinations. So there's a lot of new options.
I think that's why I like andesite too, because you can mix it with cobble and stone, and it's just like the different type of non-cobbly stone. The pattern of it just looks nice. It's a nice shades of gray. I really am a fan of it.
Well, I do like the andesite over the polished andesite because the polished andesite makes it look kind of blocky, while the regular andesite looks more natural looking. Please don't hate on cobblestone because I love cobblestone. It's kind of like the old castle wall, not the nicely stacked bricks, but like the old fashioned medieval castles. So yeah, cobblestone is one of my favorite. I know everyone's gonna hate me for it, but yeah, it's still one of my favorite.
See, I like andesite, polished andesite, because it adds something. Like that block doesn't exist in Minecraft, you know? It does it doesn't resemble any other block that existed prior to it. But the regular andesite is like a variation on gravel, the new version of gravel, I guess, which is fine. It looks fine. It didn't add anything to it, you know? It's sort of like adding like drinking like eating a steak with water. Like it's fine, it's water, but it doesn't like add anything to the steak. It's not like you're drinking like a good glass of wine or you're drinking a good whatever else you might want to drink with a steak. You know, it's sort of it like it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of like leaves you sort of wanting more. And the polished andesite sort of gave me that. Also, cobblestone's fine. I have no issue with cobblestone. It's like one of the OG blocks. How can you hate on it, you know?
Now that we're talking about all of the different blocks that we could use, I really am more sad that I can't have my personal designer to help me.
You got to do it on your own, buddy, just like the rest of us.
Gotta go it alone. I feel that's so hard. Especially like, because you know on servers and stuff, you kind of like can go to other people's like places and be like, "Oh, how are you doing it? Oh, like that? Okay, you know, looks good. I'm totally not gonna, you know, use that as a very large reference for what I'm gonna do."
But that's why we can, if we wanted to, we can go watch you guys' videos and see what you're doing. I mean, I'm not saying that I do, but I have caught a few like snips of you guys' videos. I gotta support you somehow.
Wait, you guys don't watch my video? You guys don't see my clones? And how annoying they are?
Oh, I watched them, and I had to yell at them a few times, just like you did.
I absolutely love your clones. Even though Dark is really lazy and X has like the most amazing voice ever. I love your clones. They're so fantastic.
Well, like I said earlier, I did not disperse them, so they're still running around. Hopefully, we catch a glimpse of them running around.
Did everybody find like fish for their ponds or their lakes? I know I went and found me a nice little warm ocean to steal some fish from. I don't know if everybody else did or not. I'm just curious. You know, maybe I should watch your videos.
I did. I went out. Well, I already had my original fish that I caught out when I was in the warm ocean. My I was gonna try to remember what it was called. I saw it for like a split second when I put it in the bucket, what it was called, but then I never paid attention to it ever again. But I had my all black fish, sort of my all gray fish that I had, but then I went back to go get it some friends because it was gonna be very lonely in that large pond. So I did catch three other fish because that's the only those were the only iron pieces I had left to get some buckets with, and I brought them back and I got a cute little I got two cute white and red fishes, and I think they're called emperor fishes, I think is what they're called. And then one of those like really tiny minnow looking guys that was red and gray, sort of to keep with the scheme of the color scheme. And now they're super happy. I even named my original fish just so I would never forget. Also, because I have a plan to go back to the Warm Ocean and collect more versions of those. So, I can have separate schools of fish that, so they're not all lonely, just all by themselves, only four of them, all different. I named my original fish after one of my subscribers over on Twitch because I couldn't figure out what to call it. And his name over on Twitch is Indoor Adventurer. And I'm like, what better name to name a fish that's always going to live in the pond but an indoor adventurer? So that's what I did. But yeah, I went off to go get some fish.
That is an epic name for a fish. Even if it lives in a tank or a pond, it's just all of its adventures happen in that tank or pond. My fish in my pond are all cods. I went out to go try and find a warm ocean and I could not find one. So I grabbed a couple of buckets and I just caught a bunch of cods and I brought them back and I had 6 and now I have 5 and I guess it'll be like those goldfish that just, the one you get at the fair that just dies and you just keep going to the fair and getting it back. So those are probably what the cods will gonna end up being like. But I do want to go off and try and find a warm ocean because I love the yellowfish and the red and the white ones and there's just a ton of fish and I want to get one of all of them if possible.
Yeah, when I was adventuring out into the warm ocean, I was looking at all the fish. And it's like I don't want a whole bunch of black and like gray fish because I kind of want the colors. That's why I went for it. But I found like red and whites and yellows and blacks, and it was kind of nice. I ended up taking like 8 buckets with me to bring them back to my pond. Um, but my very first fish I caught was a red snapper. So, you know, I haven't caught a red snapper since Harvest Moon.
Well, I haven't put any fish in my pond yet because I've been designing the pond first. I wanted to add like the little grass on the ground. I mean, on the lake floor and stuff. So I've been doing that, and I haven't gotten around to the fish yet, but I will soon. And I might have to venture out to the warm lake that I found, which is quite a few thousand blocks away, but might be worth the trip.
It's definitely worth it. I also went out there. Mostly I went out there for I needed sea pickles to, well, I didn't need them. I wanted sea pickles to light up the bottom of my pond, and sort of because it's all covered over by a mountain, I needed something to light up the area. So I went out there for some sea pickles and incidentally picked up some fish while I was there because I totally forgot about them. But I think because I'm not really done with the pond, I feel like there's so much more I can do with it. So I am going to go back and get some coral and see if I can, or at least some fans, see if I can at least fancy it up a little bit,
Yeah, I can't wait to see what all you come up with. Somebody dug a lake out. That's going to be great. And then I think I know where Fizz put her pond. I think that's the same place I have my nether portal. I like to see the differences that we have come up with in our own worlds. It's kind of great.
Yeah, the thing about digging a pond is that I kind of regret it when I started it, and I was like, man, this is a lot of work. So after I started digging and I started like measuring some of the stuff, this isn't so bad. But then there's still a lot of work to get it all right and done. And I also left like a little island like at the edge of the lake so I could like built bridges and stuff. So just like a little island within that little lake that I did.
That's still such just an epic idea. I'm glad you did it. I'm glad I didn't do it. Because I think it's going to look great, but man, it was not going to be a lot. I'm sure down the line I'm going to do something like it, just a man-made pond or lake next to a build. But this early into the game, I just was like, you know what? I'll just dig out. I was like, I'll make a little. I kept calling it a grotto, but it's not a grotto, and I can't remember what it's officially called. But I was like, I'll stick with this little pond under the mountain. It'll be fine. But I'm excited to see yours in solid, to see how you made it.
Yeah, I want to see how different they all look and how like who has the tiniest pond and who has the biggest and who like went way elaborate and who's all minimalistic about their ponds and stuff. I need to see all this. It's gonna be neat.
Well, digging it wasn't too bad because I had my diamond shovel, and I had to repair it like twice as I was doing it. Yeah, I didn't make it too big. Yeah, I wanted to make it even bigger to realize how much work there was, and then I kept it smaller. Yeah, but it's a decent size. I just gotta figure out how to prevent the monster from attacking the village now, since I added the lake to it.
I don't think size matters. All right. I'm just saying. I have a large, a massive water project I'm going to be doing in the future. So I was trying not to go extravagant on that feature, but I wanted to decorate it, and I did a good job, I believe. So we'll see. I think we all are going to do some wonderful things with it. I know I was watching PB's last episode, and I was seeing what she was doing. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, especially your stairs. I love the way you had your stairs and the way you designed it. It looked really cool. So I might have to steal your design one of these days.
Thanks, thanks. I was really happy when I made it. Like I said, it was a complete and utter accident. I didn't mean for it to look like that. It's just I needed a staircase to go up and down, and it was on a diagonal. My plan was just to put down stairs and see what I had to work with, and then go from there. But when I looked at it for the first time, I was like, "Whoa, wait a second! This looks so neat. This is so cool." And then I looked at it from another angle. And I'm like, I can work with this. So I'm glad other people also thought it was cool, because I was definitely surprised and excited by it.
I do like that you have it on that diagonal like that. It just you don't see that very often. It's pretty nice.
Have any of you other guys done anything sort of off the cuff with your building so far? We've talked a lot about our ponds, but I know we've all also done other things aside from that.
I'm doing my usual tunnels. I mean, this Minecraft you kind of mine. That's part of the game. So my my graveyard is basically a tunnel. I'm making a crypt. So you know, I'm, and then the thing that I'm doing with it that's costing me a lot of pain is I'm using quartz, and quartz is so hard to come by without scouring the nether forever.
Why would you do that to yourself? White concrete, my dude. Just use white concrete.
I'm using both. Because there's no concrete stairs.
Oh, you poor thing.
I do not envy you, to say the least. I'm happy to hear, like, because we've talked about the graveyard before, but I didn't know how you were gonna do it, and now I have sort of a better idea of how it's gonna work out in my brain place, at least. I think it's very funny the way you've died so far, so I am a little bit happy that you're making this graveyard, because that is consequential to you dying. But I'm happy to hear that you've sort of had it like a cool idea to make your graveyard with.
You're still laughing it up, aren't you? I understand. Yes, it was funny, especially the way it happened, and because we were just talking about it the week before. But still, man, why do you gotta keep bringing it up? I'm never gonna live that down, am I?
Well, you haven't yet.
This week before I started building started digging the lake, I noticed that there was like tons of animal in that area. And I knew if I started digging the lake, they would get trapped in the lake. So I decided to move all of the animals to like these 4 pens towards where I'm going to build the all of the farms for the animal. So I, it looked funny. And then the thing is, I dug a hole, well, 4 holes in the floor. I put fences on the edge so they could walk right into it. They can't come out. And I put like a little boat in the middle. So in order for me to get out the pen, I'll click on the boat and I'll hop in the boat and hop out. That's my way of getting in and out of the pens, which is actually pretty funny.
Use a boat? That takes up a lot of room. How would you use like a minecart?
Speaking of animals, this week I also had fun incidents with animals near my pond. So, like I said, it's built on sort of a mountain, but it's scalable, and there are animals that are up there. there was a couple of animals up there, but I didn't pay them any mind until I think at the end of last episode, or near the end of last episode, just a pig fell. A pig just fell in front of, like, behind me, and I turned around and I was like, wait, what? And there was just a pork chop just lying there, and I was like, what? And I look up and I see these sheep, like, right on the tip, right on the edge of the top of this mountain, and I'm like, what? Did you guys just kill a pig? Did you just push a pig off? And so I go up there just to see what's up and what's happening. And there's a few sheep up there and a chicken. And I'm like, okay. And so I come back down and I keep doing my stuff. And then in this episode, I almost caught all of them on, so close to catching them all on camera, but they dropped down the chicken lost and floated to the bottom. But right at the end of the episode, I caught, as I was like getting ready to do my outro, a sheep just fell straight down next to me and died next to me. And I was like, what? And so there's definitely like a game of King of the Hill going on right now over my pond. And it was the craziest thing ever.
That is so great. I remember watching that on your episode. That pig fell, and you're like, what? And then you went up there and investigated. That was great. I love it.
It's like animal MMA fighting up there or something.
I'm definitely at this point hedging bets.
I was just thinking like the sheep were up there holding. One was holding on the other one, like on the Titanic movie. Don't let go, Jack. Don't let go.
I would imagine you go up there. No, all of the animal falls down, and you're wondering what's killing all this. And you go up there, you see like a little bunny. That would be so funny.
There are a lot of crazy things in the AnyVerse, and I'm excited for all of us to find even more crazy stuff that we stumble upon all just kind of randomly and do the same things. But with that, I think we're at the end of our podcast. And there's one thing I do want to bring up before we go into our outros, and that is that we are missing one of our old members of the AnyVerse, Ohtacaro, and that is because he is taking a break from the series, possibly indefinitely, but that is for him to decide in the future. So still send him your love over on his channel at youtube.com/Ohtacaro, but we will not be seeing a lot of him over on the podcast. But with that, Solid, please start taking us out.
Alright guys, with this DarkSolidX, also known as Solid, and you guys can find me on Twitch and YouTube under DarkSolidX.
And I'm Fizzy. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter under Fizzbolts with an S, and on YouTube with Fizzbolt with no S.
And I am PB from PbPlaysMinecraft. You can find me on Twitter at PbPlaysMinecraft with no T because Twitter wouldn't let me add it. And also, you can find me streaming over on twitch.tv/PbPlaysInside.
And I am Torfi, and you can find me at Torfi74 on YouTube and Fallen Geek 74 on Twitter.
Thank you for listening in on today's episode of AnyVerse Podcast. Please use hashtag AnyVerseMC in your tweets about the series and follow the members of the AnyVerse, and we will be back next Wednesday for another recap of our week in the AnyVerse.